Hello from Our Lady of Bethesda. We're less than 2 weeks away from the great celebration of Easter, that celebration of new life in Christ. Of course, as we approach Easter, we also approach the events that preceded Easter, Jesus' suffering and passion and his death on the cross. So I wanted to start this week's reflections, this fifth week of Lent, with a little reflection on suffering. In this past Sunday's gospel, we read that a couple of Greeks came to the apostles and they said they wanted to see Jesus. And then Jesus, after the apostles come to him with a request, responds in a somewhat puzzling way. He talks about a grain of wheat that falls to the earth and dies. We can ask ourselves, why would Jesus respond to these Greeks who had come for the Passover with such a response, that unless the grain of wheat falls to the earth and dies, it remains just a grain of wheat. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Well, Jesus was pointing these people to the cross. If they truly wanted to see Jesus, they would first be able to see him, to recognize him in the cross. Certainly a great paradox, but we believe perhaps that Jesus in his heart, of all the things that could unite humanity, the one thing that's common to us all is the experience of suffering. Certainly we all experience happiness, we all experience joy, but no matter where you come from, what your background is, the different experiences in life, suffering is always part of human life. And Jesus, as God who saw our fallen state, didn't want to just leave us in our sin. He wanted to come and save us. And the one thing that he wanted to do especially was to suffer for us. Because as God in heaven, there was no way to suffer. But he loved us so much that he said, well, I'm going to take on a human nature, and then with that human nature, I'll be able to suffer. And through that suffering on the cross, you'll be able to see who I truly am. We all like to see good examples in our life, and we are led to even better ways of living when we see a good example. And so when these Greeks came to Jesus and asked to see who he was inviting them to ponder the cross, because there on the cross is a summary of all that Jesus is. He is God, he is love, and he is love incarnate. Again, one way we can show that we truly love someone is to love them in the difficult times, when things are not going well. And Jesus took upon all of suffering humanity upon himself in his human nature on the cross. So that's where we truly encounter Jesus in a most profound way, is when we unite our suffering and we see our suffering united to his on the cross. So as we continue our preparation for the celebration of Easter, let's remember that one of the special ways to come closer to Jesus, to see Jesus, is suffering. Not in a grim way, but in a way that we see that love has really overcome death and suffering in Jesus on the cross. You can continue to count on my prayers as you prepare for the great celebration of Easter, knowing that no matter what suffering you're going through, Jesus is with you, and Jesus has suffered with you on the cross. May God bless you.